Have you ever been confused on what are the best way to enter sites? Do you ever think that there has to be a way to get past this defensive setup? Well, today, we have all the answers to your problems. What is up, ProGuides family? I'm your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're talking about the best entry routes on each map. Let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. What's up, ProGuides family? I hope you guys are all winning your ranked games and grinding out the new season. I just wanted to mention that on our website, ProGuides.com, we are having a 25% off sale with the discount code FPS25. Make sure to use this discount code at checkout for any purchases on our website. Well, I gotta get back to grinding that rank ladder, so I will see you all again soon. To start this video off, let's talk about one of the maps that has received the most changes recently, Split. Split was recently reworked to give attackers more options for breaking into sites. Before this map received several changes over the past few months, this was one of the most defensive-sided maps in the entire game. After the slight changes to the map's contour and entry points, this map feels a lot more transparent and fair when it comes to attacking. The best way to enter into A site on Split is to break up your forces and trap the defenders in the back half of site. As an attacking team, you should put 2 of your attackers through the main entry points on A, and 2 of your teammates should get control of ramps and A heaven. And most importantly, send a duelist or someone with flashes through mid so that they can flank from mid through B heaven and into defender spawn. This setup is foolproof when attacking A site because it gives you the best map control over that half of the map, assuming that you get an entry kill to start. Split is not the biggest map in the game at all. In fact, it's one of the smallest in terms of square footage in total. That means that map control before you attack a site is imperative, and the only way to achieve that on Split is by outflanking the enemy team's flankers. Now, B site is a little trickier because there's only one main entrance on the site directly connected to attacker spawn. This means that you must get control of mid and eventually control B site heaven if you want any chance of sieging B and holding it. With that being said, the best entry route on this site requires 2 players go through B main tunnel and 3 go through mid and gain control of heaven. When you gain control of heaven, have 1 player on rafters, 1 holding heaven stairs that connect CT spawn to heaven, and 1 person in mail room watching the long flank in case anyone comes from sewers or ropes room. This will allow you to enter B, clear out any defenders playing in sight, and hold the surrounding areas to prevent any retake attempts from the defenders. Learning how to properly siege sites and retake them can be a difficult task for beginning Valorant players. That's why on our website, ProGuides.com, we have courses written by pro players and our coaches that can help you improve your game knowledge to make learning these tasks a lot easier. You can upload your gameplay VODs of you and your team attacking sites in ranked and have our high elo coaches go over them with you and review your strengths and weaknesses on the matter. Head over to our website, ProGuides.com, if you're serious about improving as a player and achieving the rank that you deserve today. Moving on to Bind, this map is very limited in terms of creative ways to attack bomb sites. The main reason for this is because Bind is no traditional midsection of the map and is instead connected by teleporters to make traveling faster. This leads to very telegraphed pushes and little room for flanking and lurking. It also doesn't help that each entry point for both sides have long lines of sight watching them, which makes using ops on defense very effective for countering hard pushes. But even with this map's challenges, there are still intelligent and strategic ways to attack the bomb sites on this map. Starting with A site, there are 2 ways to enter into this site, A short and showers. The best way in my opinion to attack this site is to have 2 people in A short that push into U-Haul and to cubby box, and have 2 people go through showers towards back site and bench. Having 4 people watching different angles on this site will allow you to flush out any hiding defenders and allow you to watch CT hallway and heaven. Your last player should be watching your flank from behind where your teleporter is, or you can send them on a long flank through B site so you can get control of CT spawn. Bind is a map where defenses will rotate prematurely in hopes that they can support their team in the event of a 5-man push. Taking advantage of teams that rotate early on this map is an easy way to gain map control because they will usually leave 1 bomb site completely open. For the B bomb site, there aren't too many different options for creatively attacking this bomb site. Flanking around through A site would take too long, and if defenders are smart, they will have someone in back halls watching the flank. The best way to attack B site is to have 3 players jump through hookah window and have 2 players pushing through garden. The key to taking this site cleanly is by clearing out can and back site and quickly taking control of elbow. Rotating defenders' only option to get into B site is through back halls unless they want to wrap all the way around through attacker spawn to flank. This means the key to holding this site is by having complete control of elbow, back site, and even back halls if you have the utility to control it. Like I said before, there isn't too much creativity when it comes to B site on Bind, so your best bet is to combine your utility as a team and break into the site as a 5-man unit quickly and swiftly. It isn't uncommon to have 3 defenders holding B site because it is a known hard site to retake, but despite how much opposition you face, if you play your cards right, you should have no problem entering onto this site. We can't move on without our question of the day. We have to challenge our viewers to think deeper about this game as always. Today's question is, what do you think is the most effective utility for breaking onto a site? Personally, I think that flashes and mollies are more effective than smokes when entering onto sites because it forces defenders to reveal themselves and come out of their hiding spots. Smokes can sometimes benefit defenders because it allows for them to hide in them and play around them, which gives them the element of surprise. It also gives rotating defenders free time and space to rotate in through the smokes, which can help defenders in the long run. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Now let's jump right back into the video. Moving on to Haven, there are so many ways to take all 3 sites on this map, we're gonna have to keep it short for the sake of time. But here are the most agreed upon ways to entry and hold on to sites for this map. Starting with A site, you're going to want to find a way to prevent the defenders from coming into this site from A link. You want to force them to jump out of heaven or take the long flank through attacker spawn. You should have 2 players go through sewers to A short, which will give you site access, and have 1 player go through long to give you a line of sight to control heaven and hell. And in high elo, the best way to prevent a retake on this site is to have 2 players go through mid and B site to contest the defenders in A link. Having 2 players flank like this will buy you time and put pressure on the defenders who rotate in through A link and heaven. The key to entering this site is to make sure you spread your forces out to make sure you don't get long flanked on. Usually, there won't be too many defenders holding this site, and if they are usually in heaven or back site, so it will be easy to predict where they are. Moving on to B site, this is one of the trickiest bomb sites to entry on in all of Valorant, because a successful siege on this site doesn't depend on the attackers. Your success on this site is gonna hinge on where the defenders are playing. Usually, my rule of thumb when it comes to attacking sites on Haven is to never take B site unless you get a pick first. B is the easiest site for defenders to retake as long as they are spread out. It doesn't help that this site is shaped like a square with only 1 large piece of central cover and 3 entry points leading into it, which basically means that the attackers have no real place to hide and no real cover to protect themselves if they choose to hide in B site. The best way to entry onto the site is to get control of garage so that you have access to C link, and if you have the utility, try to push through A link to prevent any rotates from there as well. There is only 1 main entry point that faces attacker spawn, and that is the main doors at B. So pick your fights wisely and don't be afraid to burn a lot of utility when your team decides to push into this site. Wrapping up Haven with C site. This bomb site is one of the easiest sites to take on this map, but a lot of players fail to do it because they don't know how to get map control first. The best way to entry onto C is to send 3 players through garage. 1 should be in the garage window looking into C link, and 1 should stay in garage and hold angles on the doors to watch the flank. And don't forget, 1 should push in the site and check logs and behind platform to make sure no defenders are hiding in back site. Your last 2 players should push through C long and plant in the open to make sure you have an angle to cover for bomb defusal. C is a very straightforward site to take, and in my opinion, it's one of the easiest sites to take if executed well. The reason most teams fail to do this in solo queue is because many players will fail to get map control and lock down C link and garage before sieging C site. A failure to gain map control before planting on C gives ample time and space for the defenders to retake this site. In simpler terms, Haven is a very wide and spread out map in Valorant. If you want to take any bomb site with ease, make sure you prioritize map control and always send someone on the flank. Ascent is a map that has been known to favor attackers when it comes to entering onto sites and taking map control. But pro play has introduced a lot of sentinels and initiators when playing on this map, and that can spell trouble for attackers. While a good defense on Ascent will try to slow the attackers down as much as possible, no site on this map is impossible to take an entry on, and you just have to be smart about how you do it. Starting with A, this site fortunately has multiple ways for an attacking team to break in on. The best way to take this site securely is to make sure you have control of tree room and heaven before planting. And to do that, have 3 of your teammates go up catwalk and through tree room. The goal here is to have 2 players enter site from here to clear out those close corners for the attackers who will be coming in from A main. Try to send 1 player through glass barrier and take control of heaven to cut off any rotators from garden and from CT. The last 2 attackers should go in through A main and begin clearing site to make sure no one is hiding in any deep or dark corners. This bomb site is not hard to entry on at all. I just see many teams fail to properly take it because they neglect tree room and heaven entirely. Moving on to B site, this bomb site has the same rule of thumb from Haven's B bomb site, and that is you must get a pick before rushing onto this site. It's not uncommon to have 1 or more sentinels or initiator agents on this site for defense. This means that an attacking team will need to establish map control before pushing into site. So how do you do this effectively? Put 2 of your teammates in mid and gain control of pizza and market. From there, you should be able to get control of CT entrance and boathouse. Your other 3 teammates should go through B main and take control of B site and clear it out for any defenders hiding in CT or back site. B site is very easy to control from retakes, so find a good spot to hide in and don't move. Because if you have a numbers advantage, it's near impossible to throw a good post plant. Icebox. This map is very open and has many different ways to approach sites, so let's give you the best ones that are foolproof. When attacking B site, you must gain control of back site and behind B site to make sure defenders with ops don't pick you off when you're pushing up to plant. To do this, send 3 players through the mid section of the map and 2 through B long. The 3 players in mid should split up, 1 going under tube to get a line of sight on the tower you're going to plant in, and 2 should go through the tube to take control of kitchen, and optimally go through CT spawn to make sure defenders with ops and guardians aren't shooting at your teammates from snowman ramp. And lastly, 2 of your teammates should push through B green and plant in the default plant spot next to the double crates. Also for those last 2 players, in post plant back up to B green to make sure you don't get long flank from defenders rotating from A site. For the final bomb site on this map A, you need to send players on flanks to make sure the defenders don't chill in rafters and in back site. I cannot reinstate how imperative it is to clear out site before planting on A, because if you don't, you just made the defenders' jobs a lot easier. have 2 players go through mid and establish control over CT spawn and backside entrance, and have 3 players go through A main and push through site and clear out the nest areas and close corners to prevent any sneaky defenders from getting cheeky kills. Icebox is a wide map with a lot of open areas, so you can get very creative with how many people you send on flanking assignments and where they go. Well everyone, that's all we have for the best entry routes for each map. If you liked the video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. Be safe out there, and I will see you all again very soon.